Well, hey, this is Dammit, and here's my report for the ceremony I conducted on Saturday, November 13th, 2021. First of all, I just want to talk a little bit about what I've been up to. I had a very successful ceremony in August, and I made a video for that. And then I had a ceremony in September too, which was good, but it wasn't particularly exciting. I didn't really feel like I got anything out of it, anything new or anything noteworthy, and I couldn't seem to find the wherewithal to sit down and transcribe the videos. And so I didn't end up filing a report. In October, I was supposed to sit with an ayahuasca group that I've worked with in the past on Halloween weekend, and that got put off to the middle of November. And then I found out almost at the last minute that the group wasn't going to be requiring participants to be vaccinated or to mask. And the thought of sitting in an enclosed maloca where people are going to be, vomiting their brains out and crying and breathing smoke, and it didn't fill me with confidence. And I really thought that getting COVID in that circumstance would just be the ultimate in unforced errors. And so I decided not to go. And so with basically a week's preparation, I set up, and then I did my standard phonomantic rite this past Saturday. And it was awesome. I've got my notes here as usual. I'll just get into it and without too much pretense. The first sort of notable occurrence was during the song Moon Age Daydream. And what I have here is, and this is the transcript from the video, from the sort of the narration that I do in between songs. Resistance is my final ally. I saw the bugs, and then by relaxing enough, the bugs turned into branches, into underground roots. And then I merged with those roots. And all of a sudden, the medicine opened in a humongous way. I saw imagery of letters drawn in glowing neon, those mysterious glyphs that show up in the paintings of visionary artist Alison Gray. They were super vivid. There was so much energy behind them. And it was really great. And so if you've been following my history with this stuff at all, starting 2 summers ago, I started to have a really bad time with these, for lack of a better term, demonic entities. There was this force that would show up and make things very, very, very unpleasant for me on an emotional and physical level. I'd feel a lot of really terrible sort of strain and a lot of tension and a lot of fear. And in my visionary space, that would be represented almost always by vermin, by silhouettes of rats and spiders and ants sort of like crawling like on a transparent overlay over whatever else I was seeing. In a dozen ceremonies, that's happened. But over time, my reaction to that has changed. There's a video that I made maybe 6 or 7 months ago called Our Lady of Vermin, and that one was about this idea of reframing the experience by actually embracing them and welcoming them and sort of imagining that they were on their way to, that they were being attracted by the energy that I was conducting. And then if I could sort of imaginally bring myself to gather them to me, imagining myself as her, as the goddess, it totally transformed the experience. And so that was one way I've been working with it. And then last night there was this new step. One of the things about this resistance that I reach is it really suppresses the energy of the medicine. Sometimes for the first hour or two, I'll feel almost completely sober, and that's with yesterday I worked on 7 grams of cubensis with the 3-gram water extract of cerium rue and 2 hits of pot, and was still barely feeling a thing because this stuff holds the medicine down. It holds the effects down. But when I simply welcomed it, I felt strong enough and confident enough to not be scared of it, simply relax with it, then all the energy was there. And so that was the lesson for the entire evening, was just relax, relax, relax. And I found that intentional framing was so helpful. every time the bugs would show up, it was like a reminder, hey, you need to relax. And then I would, and then things would markedly improve. Which isn't to say it was easy. You know, that in the early stages of this, and sometimes almost sometimes through the entire experience, it's just me. I'm just my normal everyday self laboring under the strain of this huge dose. And it can be extremely unpleasant, really, really unpleasant. And there's a phase shift where I'm looking for, where I sort of like, all of a sudden that it gets easy and the energy just flows, and I lift into what I call belief space. And I'm often vouchsafed at that point really intense visions of the afterlife or gods or all kinds of crazy shit. And although the energy did really open up, that didn't really happen, at least in the early stages. During the Boston song, Don't Look Back, my notes say, it started off as an exercise in pure determination, in finding a way to feel good even though I did not feel good at all. I was listening to the music and trying to connect with it emotionally. And then there came this dawning awareness of the reality of who I am. And of course, there's this myth, this narrative that's been going along with this over the last 4 years, that I'm going to be somehow bringing this new way of encountering the divine before the public. Like that's my job that I've come here to do. And as soon as I started to accept that, my whole visionary space transformed. It was an obvious and immediate response to my shift in belief, my enthusiastic belief in who I'm supposed to be. The energies really did open up a lot. I saw a whole cathedral spiral into existence around me, and then the dome ceiling became a vault of the heavens with galaxies singing Alleluia. And yet the divine presence was withheld from me. That final sense of meeting another, in the sort of Martin Buber sense of an I-thou relationship with the divine. And whoever's in charge of all this stuff, they really want me to work for it. They do. And they says they're pushing you along those lines because they are fashioning you into a tool that can withstand the stress of what's about to happen to you. Nobody in history has tried to do this thing and harness the full power of hundreds of millions of dollars of social media to make it happen. You are going to be in for a maelstrom of hate and rejection. You have no idea. So enjoy this time and do your work in quiet while you're waiting, and be grateful for it. In the face of all aridity and disenchantment, keep your faith. That was nice. And then proceeded through the ceremony, and then, you know, I had some really interesting experiences during the intermission part, where I was really, really paying attention, super close attention to the vocals on the songs, and to the point where I was almost experiencing like a kind of synesthesia. I really felt a tactility to the sound. There's something about the compression, the abdominal compression that they're doing in their voices, or maybe it's the vocal cord closure. You can actually hear it. It's like this minuscule and super fast clicking sound, like a zipper being pulled, and it's really, really enjoyable when you lock into that. The next really notable moment was during the Blondie song Atomic. And I had a vision of Phoebe Bridges, who, if you don't know who she is, she's this wonderful singer-songwriter. I kind of consider her like the next generation Elliott Smith, although I hope she's happier than he is. So I saw her, and we were in the future. And she was wearing a kind of high-altitude test pilot suit. It was like brown leather and bronze. Very Art Deco in its styling, kind of almost like Rocket Man, if you've ever seen that movie. And she had a helmet under her arm, and she was about to don it and then walk out onto a platform. And there she was going to try to call in the Holy Mother. She knew what she was doing. This was her intention. She was going to go out there and sing this Debbie Harry song while on a huge dose of mushrooms, and she was going to call in the divine presence. And I was going to watch her do it and believe that she was doing it, and our belief would support each other and make it more intense for both of us. It was fucking fucking awesome. I mean, I had this imaginary moment with this beautiful woman where we were both sort of like devoted to each other and to what she was about to do. And we both understood how difficult but important what she was, and risky she was going to try to do was. And she was being brave, and I was proud of her, and I loved her. And then from there, it moved on to Umbrella by Rihanna, and all it says here is, Umbrella opened up to DMT levels. And unfortunately, I didn't explain what that meant, because I went into like a straight up moment of worship. I just lifted both hands and making the Amor Fati sign, and I said, I give thanks, Goddess, for my redemption. Thank you. Oh my God, it's like being reborn. What a relief. Holy fuck. Oh God, God be praised. Oh man. And then I moved into Chandelier by Sia, and that was incredible too. And this time, this became a working of with La Santa Muerte, except I saw La Santa Muerte as this beautiful young woman painted up like she was celebrating the Mexican Day of the Dead. And that song had a really weird thing that happened where I was just standing there, and all of a sudden I felt the floor jump like a crack, like there was a sudden jolt of an earthquake. And it's actually on the tape. You can hear the bump. It comes out of nowhere. Well, it doesn't matter what the time signature is, because you're not going to see it. And that's not the first time that this has happened. Over the years, there's been several kinds of, like these poltergeist things. There's like a physical manifestation of something that's happening in this very synchronicitous sort of way. Just odd and wonderful. And then moving on, then there was Baby I'm a Star, and that was great because it really helped me, my sense of what this is going to be at a full sort of professional production continues to grow. And this time what I saw was Tom Holland as a phonomancer doing this, and what I was thinking of was his famous performance of Umbrella on the lip sync battle show with Zendaya. And that the full production value of that of a real performer, somebody who can really sing and really dance, like tearing it up on stage. And that's what phonomancy is going to be. Not me and my amateur flailing around, but real artists, real performing artists, but who can walk on stage on a high dose of psychedelic and concentrate and do both things. They can enter into altered states of consciousness and visit other layers of reality, but also perform like demons and move the crowd and get the crowd super excited and hyped up. That's the goal. And that segued into something really quite incredible. Another vision, like a real vision. I'll just read out what I have here. It was sort of lucid awareness. It wasn't quite at the full-on DMT levels where you're seeing it right as if you're looking at it. It was more like it was just barely at the limits of my consciousness, almost seeing it like out of the corner of my eye. But I saw this like a Catholic cathedral that was also an artist's workshop. It was also a gym in a weird way, and there were these highly buff but also extremely individual with different personalities and obvious age differences artists, and they were sculptors, and these were the higher order entities that were creating me. They were collaborating on me. And I had this sense that this is what goes on at the highest levels. These beings, somebody will have an idea for a person. They're interpreting the image of that the Holy Mother has, and they'll bring it to these other beings, and they'll agree on a general direction for their collaboration, and then they work on it together, and they have back and forth, and they have different ideas, and they bicker and they compromise, but over time they're working towards this agreed upon goal, and then it all gets cast into the idea of you, all their best ideas, and that becomes the mold of who you are going to become someday, and then you are grown in time into that mold. Anyway, it was a beautiful thing to see It was kind of a beautiful idea. And that's really what you come back at this stuff with. It's not so much that it's not claiming there's any literal truth to this stuff, but there's new ways of thinking about things, new ways of imagining it that we can fashion into new interpretive models. And this all goes into what I have been doing with the shamanic cabaret. This is like a whole alternative reality game. It's a way to interact with the divine, a way to have a particular kind of experience of it. But I fully expect that in the future there will be other people working at this level and coming up with their own. And in this way, we can introduce new energy and not just keep doing the same shit over and over and over again long after it stopped working. All that matters now is whether or not the experience somebody produces for you to participate in works. Does it get you closer? Does it get you an actual sense of the experience of the sacred, or an experience of the God? And if it doesn't, go work with somebody else, A couple other final things I want to note. There was I had a vision of the future, of a possible future. I'll just read it. And in this vision, I win a fucking fortune. And I use that money to hire someone to make a documentary about me. And it starts off with them thinking that I'm just this delusional asshole. But then they realize that I'm truly a character, a real find and a half. And they make this movie about me. And it's going to be called God is a Place You Will Wait for the Rest of Your Life, which is, of course, a line from Two-Headed Boy Part 2 by Neutral Hotel. And it follows me as I am making a movie about an idealized performance of the shamanic cabaret. I hire actors to play the phonomancers and the audience. And I explain to these people how to act and react, what kind of experiences they are having. As we rehearse for the movie performance, the actors start to inhabit those roles and realize that the fiction is becoming a reality. They are becoming the people I imagined they could be, until finally in the end, we're a real team. We're operating with the same belief system and totally bonded to each other by these incredible experiences we've had together. And that's the start of all this. Ultimately, what I'm proposing is a religion as an endlessly fecund entertainment project, almost like the Marvel universe, just spinning off story after story after practice after practice. And by presenting it as fiction first, you show it in its ideal state. And then people can decide if they're attracted to that, if they would think they would like to have an experience like they're seeing in the movie, or if they think they would like to be like the people, the idealized versions of phonomancers and audience participants that I'm showing in the movie. And if they are, then they can come and do the practice and achieve those results. All right, the last thing was at the very end of the night, I went into straight up prophecy space and I had a vision. And it connects with other visions I've had. It's a goal. It's a goal. In this vision, phonomancy grows for 1,000 years. And at some point during that time, these people realize that what they want to do is create an exquisite piece of jewelry for the goddess. And what that looks like is a lattice work of satellites that covers the entire globe. And they're positioned so that when they connect with each other, they form these hexagonal patterns. So basically the world is wrapped in a globe of light made of these glowing blue hexagons. And it glows when people concentrate on them, and they concentrate on her. And somehow by doing phonomancy together, not necessarily all doing the same ceremony, but coordinating their activities so that they're all hitting the same points at the same moment. They all incarnate the goddess in their consciousnesses at the same time, and it makes this whole thing glow like a brilliant star. And it's a beacon to her to say thank you for everything that she's given to us. And the whole thing is this, it's a collaborative effort. And this is something I've talked about in other videos, this idea that humanity is it's an art collective, that we're here to ultimately build up our civilization to the point where we can solve the problem of the universe. That's a whole other story. But I guess the idea would be that that this technological achievement would give us something to work towards. Like, we'd have to get all our ducks in a row in order to be able to do that. We'd have to solve all our economic problems and all our environmental problems and everything, and find a way to work cooperatively and have a set of shared values, and above all prioritize transcendent art and the first-hand personal knowledge of the divine. That becomes the value that drives our civilization. That's what we're reaching for. And then when we finally do it, that satisfies the conditions of the challenge that Ma set for her children billions of years ago. And I don't know what happens at that point. That's the end of the myth. That's the kingdom of God. A critical mass of humanity has incarnated the goddess in their consciousnesses and made her absolutely real to them. And at that point, the game is over, and we'll start again. I'm just getting started with this stuff. These ideas are only a few years old. I haven't worked it all out yet, and I'm looking forward to having other people sort of contribute and stuff, and hopefully it'll all, again, it keeps getting more and more refined as time passes. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, on the whole, a stunning success. I feel fantastic today, and I'm deeply, deeply grateful for this whole crazy experience. And with that, I'm going to sign off. And as ever, I'm your pal, Dammit, reminding you that if you're ever going to say yes to any pleasure in life, you have to say fuck yes to every pain as well. Do it for your ma. I'm an alligator. I'm a mama, papa coming for you.